Today we're going to do some temperature calculations. So what we're going to work with mainly is Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. So we have a formula that says the Fahrenheit temperature is 9/5 the temperature in Celsius plus 32 degrees. This formula works great. So you take 9/5 the temperature in Celsius plus 32. So if you know what the Celsius temperature is, then you take 9/5 of that, add 32, and you get the Fahrenheit temperature. I could take this same formula and subtract 32 on both sides, and I get the Fahrenheit temperature minus 32 is then equal to, I'd get that 9/5 the temperature in Celsius. So all I did was subtract 32 from both sides. Now, what I could do is I could put a bracket around there, or parentheses, and then multiply both sides by 5/9. Notice that the 5's and the 9 will drop out, and I'll be just left with the temperature in Celsius, which is what I get right here. The temperature in Celsius is 5/9 the temperature in Fahrenheit minus 32. So these two equations are the same, they're just rearranged differently. Likewise, the next two equations are the same. The temperature in Kelvin is equal to the temperature in Celsius plus 273.15. So if I subtract 273.15 from both sides, then I'll get the temperature in Celsius now is equal to the temperature in Kelvin minus the 273.5 when you subtract from both sides. So I like to use, personally, I like to only think of I like to memorize the least amount that I can, and I like to use these two formulas. And so these are the two formulas that I'll use whenever I do problem solving. But sometimes people want to use the other ones, so I put those in. But it's all the same. So whatever you like to do. So let's get started and do some calculations. So we have 12 degrees Celsius, and we want to go to the Fahrenheit temperature. And we also want the Kelvin temperature. Well, the temperature in Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 the temperature in Celsius plus 32. We have 12 degrees Celsius, so 9/5 times the 12 and then plus 32. Notice that I don't include the degrees in here. I don't include the degrees until the very end. I don't take the units into account until the very end, okay? So the temperature in Fahrenheit then, grab our calculator, we have 9 divided by 5 and multiplied by 12, and then we add 32 to that. And we get 53.6 degrees. And then that's Fahrenheit, because that's what we were looking for. Now, the Kelvin temperature, the temperature in Kelvin, is equal to the temperature in Celsius plus 273.15. So the Kelvin temperature is the Celsius temperature, which is 12 plus 273.15. So we have 273.15 plus 12. And that gives us 285.15. So the temperature in Kelvin is 285.15 Kelvin. Now notice how we have degrees Fahrenheit and degrees Celsius, but we only say Kelvin. We don't say degrees Kelvin. We just say Kelvin. That's the temperature scale. Now we'll go into this temperature scale in more detail and do some explanations about it, but right now we're just trying to get through the mechanics of problem solving, and so what we're going to do is just worry about problem solving today. In other words, do you know the definition? So you namely need to know the definition and how to solve problems. So 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and now we want to go to Celsius and Kelvin. So the temperature in Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 the temperature in Celsius plus 32. The Fahrenheit temperature is 75 equals 9/5 the temperature in Celsius plus 32. Now remember, you got to subtract 32 from both sides and then multiply by 5/9. So I'm just going to write it out for you. 75 minus 32 multiplied by 5/9. That's equal to the temperature in Celsius, which is the same thing that we did right here. 5/9, the temperature in Fahrenheit, minus 32 is the temperature in Celsius. So it's the same formula. I just kind of I wrote it out, and that's just the way I like to do it. So and I got the pen. So we have 75 minus 32 equals this, and multiplied by 5 divided by 9, 23.9. 23.89. So 23.89 degrees Celsius is the temperature in Celsius. So now we have to get to the temperature in Kelvin. And the temperature in Kelvin is the temperature in Celsius plus 273.15. So the temperature in Kelvin then is the temperature in Celsius. We just calculated that to be 23.89 plus the 273.15. And so that gives us the temperature in Kelvin then. And so 23.89 plus 273.15, and that gives us 297.04. 297.04, and the units are Kelvin. 500 Kelvin, and you want to go to Celsius and Fahrenheit. So now I want to work the other way. I want to go start at Kelvin and get a Fahrenheit and Celsius temperature. Well, the temperature in Kelvin is equal to the temperature in Celsius plus 273.15. And so we have the Kelvin temperature, which was, it says here, 500. And then it says we want to find the Celsius, so the Celsius temperature plus 273.15. So if we take 500 and subtract 273.15, we're going to get 226.85. So the temperature in Celsius is equal to 226.85 degrees Celsius then. And now we have to go into Fahrenheit, and so the temperature in Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 the temperature in Celsius plus 32. And the Fahrenheit temperature is going to be 9/5 of 226.85. And then we have to add 32 to that quantity. So what is that Fahrenheit temperature? So we have 226.85 times it by 9 and divided by 5. And that gives us 408.33. And then we have to add 32 to that quantity. So that gives us 440.33. And we're in Fahrenheit, so we need to say degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so this is how you solve all the problems. You plug them into the formula. So if you know the formula, then it's easy. I mean, all it is just a couple of steps. But you got to know the formula. So do you know the formula? Do you know how to plug things in and solve the problems? That's what today's lecture is all about. Can you go from Fahrenheit to Celsius to Kelvin and make certain you always get the right answer? So memorize these two equations and do your best. Okay, good luck.